just the Alabama OC.
And welcome in to Breakdown 502. What is going on, people? It is the cast and crew of Wake Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. Rashawn Myers, Haven Harrington, Roman Kelly. We are here breaking down UVA, what happened, what we liked, what we didn't, what we disliked, and then also getting you ready and counting you down to kick off for Miami. The put up or shut up game for the Cardinals coming up noon on ABC. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Feeling good. Game week, off of a win.
Yeah,
There's
it's
some
going
there's
down.
some there's some complaints, but at the end of the day, I can't complain, right? We got
Absolutely.
the job done in Virginia, and on to Miami. We're going to discuss that.
There we go. Haven Harrington, how are you doing, sir?
Man, doing well. I have some technical difficulties with the camera here, but other than that, man, I'm excited about this weekend. My two favorite teams are playing this
I know.
Saturday.
You just don't know what to do. Got your you coming into town. I know you just loving the fact that Miami's still undefeated. So I know you're just you don't know who to cheer for coming up this weekend. I won't hold that against you, Haven Harrington. It's all right. It's okay. But I tell you what, fellas, let's go ahead. Let's jump on into it. So much to break down when it comes to this game. Louisville gets back on the good foot after losing 2 games in a row, of course. Losing to Notre Dame up there in South Bend, then coming back and having just a rough day of it against SMU. The first thing I just want to ask you guys is just, how are you feeling about the win? Are you feeling excitement, re-energized, just exhausted and just thankful? Like what are your feelings, your immediate feelings after watching what happened this past Saturday?
Now, I'll go first. I feel relieved, right? I feel relieved that we got the win. We didn't play our best. We were super extra sloppy, but we fought through it and we got the win in the place that we normally don't win. Like we normally don't play well in Charlottesville,
Hmm.
but we did enough to come away with the W, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Roman, how about you?
Um, I'm feeling like we had some, like Haven said, there was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of continuous. I don't issues is really how you have to put it. Things that aren't figured out that need to be figured out at this point in the season that we had to watch yet again. It didn't bite us as hard this time, but just the same old stuff. But yet we were still able to get a win. We were still able to, lock down when the time was needed to, and the defense did its job when they had to, and we were able to pull through. So I'm uh I'm glad you were able to get that a win in that kind of performance. Like Haven
Yeah,
said, kind of similar. That's really where I'm feeling. Not too confident in the issues still not being resolved, but we'll get into that.
definitely, definitely. And I mean, for me, I'll say the biggest thing I did not get to watch. Well, I was following the game live, but I was actually down at CU Harrodsburg at my son's kind of like their version of Louisville Live is called the Pioneer Premiere. Down there in Harrodsburg, so I was in the gym watching him getting introduced and watching the team go through 3-point shootout, dunk contest, all that. Shout out to the Pioneers season coming up soon. So I was watching the game on YouTube television via the phone while I was doing it. So I wasn't really able to, I was keeping track of the score, but I wasn't able to really watch it. So I had to go back and watch the game Sunday morning. I actually went back and watched the whole game. And I'll say this for me, I think my feeling is intrigue. I won't say that I'm excited, and I won't say that I am just like, oh my goodness, because I feel like what I saw from Louisville is more of what I expected to see. and they made some nice steps forward. So I am intrigued to see how they continue to build on that coming up this coming Saturday. So I think that's where I'm at with it. Where I'm not too high, I'm not too low, but I am interested to see how they can improve on it because I think that there were definitely some steps forward that they took, and I think that kind of takes us into you know, the biggest thing, the biggest question, the thing that we talked a lot about last week on Breakdown 502 was, the changes that we wanted to see and some of the things that we thought could really help Brian Brom and this team, or Brian Brom, Jeff Brom, and the rest of the team to do what they needed to do to turn this, get rid of this losing streak and get on back on the right path. And, Roman, I'll ask you first, what were some of the things that you saw that you wanted to see, and what were those, and what were the biggest things that you liked that they made adjustments to?
Yeah, so I'll go with the things that First, I'll start with what I wanted to see be improved, and
Yes.
I saw that will be the secondary.
Okay.
That's my first. You know, the secondary against SMU was just terrible. There was no urgency. There was no aggression. The amount of catches gone made without any contact at all. We didn't have a single pass. I think we maybe one, but or two, but I don't remember a single pass deflection, like a notable one at all. They were getting open easily, and we were banged up in the secondary against SMU. We didn't have Quincy Riley, and other guys were coming in and out a little bit more due to just being not at 100%. But I wanted to see an improvement from that. And granted, Virginia's offense isn't the one that is it's not as high powered as SMU's. They're not Kevin Jennings
Right.
isn't the quarterback that, or Colin Andrea isn't the Colin Dre. I don't even know how to say his name. Isn't the quarterback
Calandria, yeah, so
whatever
hilarious.
Calandria.
And Andreas,
I don't care
whatever
what his
that dude's
name
name
is.
is.
Yeah.
Colin Drea.
Calandria.
Calandria is not the quarterback Kevin Jennings is, and that offense isn't. Even though Kevin Jennings isn't, he's a great intermediate passer, but he's not some crazy great passer either. But their offense is just going to produce more open passes than Virginia's is. To be
Absolutely.
fair, but they did the job on the road. Secondary was 6 or 7 pass deflections, like more than half we had on the season in one game. It was good to see. They made improvements. What I wanted to see another improvement was the next level in the linebackers. I wanted to see more out of the linebackers. I wanted to see a more fluid and just precise pre-snap run game, containing like play from the linebackers, and we didn't really see that a whole lot. It was a little bit better, but there was still those same mistakes where you're out of place, you're not reading the option on the quarterback read option at all.
Yeah.
You're just completely befuddled until he takes off.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I didn't see enough improvement there. It was a little better, but Calandria, whatever, he was still able to cut up a little bit on us, and that's just not what you wanted to see. You wanted to see improvement there on a quarterback who was probably not going to be able to do that at the rate of some quarterbacks we've seen. This was going to be a same kind of offense, but not at the level of the ones we've seen. You would think that this is the time to, if there was any time to improve, it was right now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough of improvement there for me.
That's fair. Haven, what about you? What are the things that is the biggest thing that jumped off about as far as improvements?
The biggest improvement for me, and something that we had talked about in previous shows, they finally got the tight ends involved in this game, and it came up big time, right? They finally got him going, hit him on some big real routes. The game-winning touchdown pass, superior blockings by the tight end, got Isaac Brown a touchdown run. The tight ends they weren't featured, but they were very prominent, and it worked.
Yeah.
And that's something we've been talking about that we wanted to see all season, and we finally got to see it. Another thing I was excited about that we got to see was finally Isaac Brown getting the start.
Yep.
This is something since game like 2 or 3, we were like, it's obvious he's the best running back. Now, granted, you're probably paying, if we're being honest, we're probably paying Chaney more. which is why he kept starting. It's probably more of a financial decision because he's been paying him more money than the rest of the running backs. That's why he probably got this, the nod and played
Yeah,
more.
I
But
think
Isaac
Cheney.
Brown,
I think Cheney also knows the plays a little bit better. Not to
Yep.
interrupt, sorry, but I think
yeah, you're fine.
when you look at Tyler in the backfield, he has to point to where Isaac has to be every single time. Even against Virginia, it was almost every time. He's like Isaac's pretty much just sitting there waiting for him to either. He's like keeps his hand like that to tell him to stay back there. Or he points to his left or right to tell him to get next to him on a more of a draw kind of to do more draw like plays.
And with that being the case, he's still by far
Still, he
the
doesn't
best
even know
running
what the
back we
play is
have.
fully until Tyler tells him where he's going.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you about Isaac Brown. You know who he reminds me of, and his suddenness and his burst and his athleticism. When I watched him, the only running back that I can think of that comes close to his explosiveness and his suddenness is Steve Slayton. When Steve Slayton came down here with
Pat
with
White.
Pat White and West Virginia, like I thought that Steve Slayton was hype before they first came down here and West Virginia came down here in the blackout game. I never realized exactly how fast that dude was until I saw him live. And the suddenness from which he can once he touches the ball and he gets one step. By the time he gets to his second step, dude is at full speed, and he can make cuts and shift at full speed. And like for me, that is probably the closest comparison. Hey, Haven, like is there a guy for you? Like Slayton is the first guy who I thought of. Like, is there anybody that he reminds you of?
You know, he reminds me of all the running backs apparently that came through Oklahoma.
Okay.
Like pretty much like every running back that comes to Oklahoma is about the same height, about the same size, super
Yeah.
shifty and super fast, like P
Yeah,
Ryan
like
and all
like
those
like Joe,
guys.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Mixon, P Ryan, like he's that mold of running back. One or two cuts, gone, and has breakaway speed. Once he
Yeah.
gets in second and third, he can pretty much outrun anybody, and that's what Isaac Brown reminds me of.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have one.
absolutely. Okay.
I don't know his name. He's a little
He's
bit
black.
before my time. This is a Louisville quarterback. No, I mean I have a Louisville quarterback. He reminds me of, and it's just because
Oh,
I just found out about this guy not too long ago. I
Really?
had to do a watch along for the Mike Rutherford show for one
Was it
for
Ralph Dawkins?
no his name I think his last name was Corbin
Corbin Lamb,
Lamb
Oh,
Corvin
okay.
Lamb.
Corbin
Okay.
Only
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I can
only
see
watched
that.
one game. I only watched one game of Corvin Lamb.
Corbin Lamb was one of the most athletic, quickest, fastest guys that but you know what the thing was with him? They Louisville never utilized him nearly as
Yeah,
much as what people
that's what I
thought
learned
he
about him.
should.
That's like was the whole story on him. Was like why is he never
Yeah.
getting more snaps?
Yeah, yeah. Corbin never got the ball nearly as much while he was here, as
But the
he
running
should have.
style, the full speed after the second, like after your decision with the good vision, like
Yes.
not to rhyme, but he kind of make a cut, and then he's quickest player on the field.
yes,
Yeah.
And Isaac Brown has a lot of that. Isaac's obviously a little bit stronger and a little harder to bring down than what I saw
Yeah.
out of Corvin in that one game. But in terms of the running style,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, I think the only other guy, Haven. Do you remember the name of that running back that was the really good running back that UConn had? I believe his last name was Brown. Also, do you remember him? Like one of the last couple of years where UConn was
yeah,
really
yeah. It
good.
was Brown, but I can't think of his
I
first
can't
name.
remember his first name. That guy, like UConn, did not have a good team, but that running back Brown was very good. He was
He
a
was the team.
he was as explosive as any running back that I had ever seen. And I just remember thinking that is such a good player to be on such a crappy football program. But he was unbelievable. Like Slayton and Brown, I'll have to look up his name. I cannot remember his name, but that those two running backs, as far as opposing teams coming in, were probably the two most impressive running backs that I've ever seen since the Cardinal Stadium has been where it is currently. Those are probably the two best running backs I've seen come through. And I think Isaac Brown is every bit as talented as either one of those two guys. But anything else for you, Haven?
As far as things that kind of stood out to me positively, those are two positive things that stood out to me.
Yeah.
You finally utilized the tight ends. We finally started Isaac Brown. Offense had a lot more of fluidity to it,
Yeah.
uh, throughout the game. And defensively wise, we got better some aspects. We got a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. Ashton Gelati was more dominant this game than we've seen him all season. Um, but yeah, he still had issues containing a scrambling quarterback, and the secondary had still some coverage issues, not outright bust like we've seen in the previous weeks,
Yeah.
but still coverage issues. And I have a theory about that, but we could talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, cool. No, absolutely. No, I'm right there with you. I will say for me, the biggest things that I loved, first of all, the fact that Ryan English was down on the field rather than being up in the box. I think that was very much needed, and I think that it made a big difference just because he's able to get those calls in a lot quicker, being down there on the field, seeing what he needs to see, and quickly communicating what's going on. I think him being up in the box was not a good move. And it's unfortunate to me. I think the biggest thing that I will say, and I'll preface all of this by saying, if Jeff Brom would have seen these issues in game one or game two at the latest versus Jacksonville State, if he would have gone through the process of making these changes after Jacksonville State, and having these changes be enacted by Georgia Tech, I think that Louisville has a very good chance that they probably are still undefeated right now. So I
Yeah.
will preface all this by saying it's unfortunate that he waited until he lost two games before he made the changes that he needed to make, because I thought that all the changes that he made were good ones. The first one being Ron English down on the field, I think that helped. I think along those defensive changes. I love the fact that, like I, had been saying, Louisville spent too much time trying to get, pressure with just a four-man pass rush. In this game, we saw a 6, 7, or 5-man pass rush more than half of the time. He no longer sat back in that zone and just kind of allowed quarterbacks to kind of dictate the tempo. Now, what we saw with that, with bringing 6-man pressure, which is what they needed to do, we saw several opportunities for these guys to make plays. But like you said, Roman, there were some times where there's some miscommunications where both guys are going to tackle the running back. No one covers the quarterback. So there goes the quarterback around the end. So I think those communication things will get worked out the more that they do. Now that they're going to pressure, kind of pushing up the cornerbacks, allowing them to play on an island, and then rushing the passer, making the quarterback make quicker decisions. I think that we will see these guys get better as we go along. And that's why it's intriguing, because now that we're bringing the type of pressure that we need to, I think we're going to see more success, because the other thing that 6-man pressure does, now Ashton Gelati's not getting double teamed anymore. Now it's one-on-one, because both of your tackles are having to account for, okay, this guy's coming around the edge, okay, this guy's blitzing up the middle, so now the guard has to help over. Now you're on the island one-on-one with Ashton Gelati, and Ashton Gelati one-on-one, it's good
Barbecue.
night, sweetheart. And I think that's what we've seen. The reason why Louisville was so much better was because they finally quit being passive. They finally quit trying to sit back on their hands and trying to be a little bit pregnant, trying to hope to get pressure with that four-man front, and then basically having everybody play in an area and then having to rally to the ball. Because they were more aggressive, there were some communication issues, but I think that is just par for the course, for the fact that they haven't been doing this. So some of those communication errors come from, okay, this is all new to us. So now that it's, we understand where we made mistakes, now let's clean that up. Now, what I would have hoped is that happened in Jacksonville State and Georgia Tech. Because if
Yeah.
you have these communication issues there, but you still get wins, now we're rolling going into Notre Dame. Now we're rolling going into SMU.
Let me
That
ask you, Rashawn.
that's unfortunate.
Do you think that means you have to rethink about the structure of the start of your schedule come next year?
I think that the schedule ended up being what it was because, mainly because Indiana backed out of that game.
Yeah.
We
You had
picked
to
up,
get somebody. Yeah.
had to get somebody. So I think that next year it's going to be more traditional where you're going to have a big opponent within the first couple of games? I don't know.
Non-conference, yeah. I don't
I can't
see at this
remember.
point with the 12-team playoff and how you were set up to. Why not have a
Yeah.
better opponent in the when you're in one of your non-conference games
Yeah,
early
I,
on?
I
So
don't necessarily. I don't like having just a. I don't like having your FCS game as your first game. I
no,
like. I like having a Georgia Tech or somebody who's at least going to challenge you, because I like being able to get those questions answered for, like, okay, what are our pressure pain points? Like, even if Jacksonville State would have been the first game and we see the issues with Jacksonville State and then make changes. That was the biggest problem, is that we saw the issues, fellas. Like, we all saw the issues. Like, the with inability to get pressure with the front four, allowing the quarterback to get around the end, everybody sitting back in zone and just letting these receivers run wide open. We saw the issues. My biggest issue was, Jeff Brom, why did it take you until you lost twice before you address the problem? That
yeah,
that's the that to me is on the head coach. That's not on Rod English's plate. That's not on Brian Brom's plate. That is directly on Jeff Brom's plate, because we saw the issues and you allowed this team to lose 2 games because you wanted to wait until it was too late to make changes. And at this point, now Louisville is, has their back against the wall, and they have to win out, in my personal opinion, if they want to get to Charlotte. If they want to have an opportunity to play an ACC championship game, they have to win out. So they've put themselves in a very difficult situation. But that being said, I am glad they made the changes. The other change that I really liked on the offensive side of the ball was a move to get more of the quick passing game going. And
yeah,
I like that because they shortened up on a lot of throws. We saw a lot more intermediate throws in that 5 to 15 yard range, instead of just waiting for all of those long developing plays down the field. Now, with that being said, I think that Plummer, goodness gracious, definitely not Plummer. Shuck had a couple of times where I think he focused too much in on the guys in the intermediate, and there were guys open down the field.
missed a
Like
couple, yeah,
Chris Bell was wide open on
for a
one, and
touchdown on one, yeah,
I think Jamari Johnson was wide open on one, and he missed him because he was so focused in on the quick pass, and he really didn't have to. Like, the pressure wasn't there, but you could tell that there was emphasis put on the quick passing game and getting the ball out quicker. So, like, those were the two biggest adjustments that I thought needed to be made in terms of the pressure defensively and, the quick passing game offensively. It just frustrates me that this didn't happen at Jacksonville State and at, home versus Georgia Tech. If
yeah,
that would have happened, I think we're
yeah.
having a much bigger conversation right now. So, that's where I'm at with it. But so with that being said, um let me just ask you guys this before we look forward to Miami and start that breakdown. Let me just ask you, how are you feeling right now? Just before we talk about specifically Miami, after seeing the changes, after seeing the adjustments, what are your feelings about this football team? I feel like everybody was kind of like, okay, we've lost 2 in a row. I'm about ready to scrap the season and start
Yeah.
talking basketball. Like, are you still there, or are you still in on this football team, Roman? Where are you at with it?
I wasn't as far in that deep as a lot of people, as a lot of the fans got, for
Yeah.
the main fact that our losses were on us.
Yes.
They weren't on opponent being this, that more than us. They were on things that were in our control, whether it was the
Absolutely.
Notre Dame mistakes or the, um, um, you know, the play calling on both, the lack of urgency on SMU when you needed it even more following a game like Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
There's just lots of different things we could have pinpointed, but they were all things that are fixable. Granted,
Yes.
they needed to be addressed 4 weeks ago, 3.5, 3 weeks ago for sure. They should have been addressed, and they are still fixable though. They improved last week.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so improve them more. Improve them more. Lock in on the things that worked and make the fine tune those things and have them work as not flawlessly, but as well as you possibly can. Okay, defensively is more so one of the things I'm getting at here, because what I'm going to get at offensively is I feel like offensively we know where we're the best at in every category now. You know your weapons. You know where they make their best plays on the field. You know the types of play calls that have gained us momentum and haven't. Right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right. You said you did last week, and then 2 weeks ago, and we still saw it over on Saturday. You said no more up the middle on 1 yard plays, and saw a couple too many. But
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that first drive to come out and try to go for it on fourth down and do the same thing running the ball and not getting it and not taking the field goal.
and it's just funny you see the pitch to
Oh,
Isaac Brown work later on in the game. You
yeah.
know, like I just some of the decisions, the timing of some decisions, just it just has been off this year. But that's
Kick the
part of it.
field goal, bro. Kick the
That's part
field
of it.
goal.
Yeah, your track record has shown take the field goal. You're on the
Yeah.
road, especially take the points.
Yeah,
As much
please.
as I think that was a go for it situation,
That's because you come from the Madden generation. Yeah, you come from the generation playing Madden where y'all don't never punt the damn ball and you always go for it every time. Like all this analytic stuff is born out of like video game players, in
it
my
is.
personal opinion.
It's people my age. It's people my age getting into these
Yes.
jobs finally
Hey,
now.
because Roman, let me tell you something. On Madden, people hated me because I always took the points. If I got stopped on fourth down, I would kick the field goals, and they were like, "No one kicks field goals on this game." It's like I absolutely kick field goals, and guess what, Roman? I won a whole lot more than I lost.
I
Haven
don't.
heard you
I don't.
what?
I don't kick field goals. I do not. On
See,
that college
yes,
football 25, I
I
do
will
not
kick the.
kick
I
field
will
goals.
take the three. I will take the
Playing
three and
that
keep it
old
pushing.
man ball.
You know,
Rashawn's
hey, you
playing
better
that Big
believe it.
Ten old man ball.
If it's
I'm playing fundamentals on the
if it's
video
fourth and
game.
short on my side of the field, fourth and four, the analytics for me say fourth and four,
See,
go for it.
see, I'm taking the points. And you're gonna be like, how did I lose?
Gave the ball up on the 33 times.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's all right. I'm gonna kick that 45 yarder. Haven, what? So how are you feeling, Haven? Are you still in on this team?
I'm still in on this team, but I'm kind of like a meh
Okay.
at the
This
moment.
game didn't do nothing for you.
No, it really didn't because we fixed a lot of things, but a lot of issues, like a lot of sloppiness that we've seen since we started playing better competition has shown itself,
Yeah.
right? Um, so that's kind of worrisome. Um, it's still a team with a lot of talent, but we still haven't figured out how to use the talent and then put everything together. Which, you're going into almost your seventh week of the season almost, and all this should have been cleared up weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? And we're still figuring out who we have, how we play players, what positions is best to put our players in to succeed, and then what does all look like. When now it's like you said earlier, no, this is must win now from the rest of the season. This should have been cleared up like a while back. Now you're getting to me the schedule, and I got to figure things out against all the rest of the teams on our schedule. Like all have winning records,
Yeah.
and they're all like playing at phenomenally high levels of football. And we beat UVA, but we kind of tripped and stumbled our way to do it. Except for like the last drive looked very purposeful. The last drive of the game when we scored a game-winning touchdown was probably the best drive we've had all season, where we kind of put everything together, use the tight ends, short routes, long routes, intermediate throws, long throws, running Isaac Brown.
You know what it
Uh,
reminded me of, Haven? You know what it
what?
reminded me of? A game from last year where Plummer screws up 55 times during the game, but we've put ourselves in a position to where he has one drive at the end of the game to win it, and he'll finally quit screwing up and drive us down the field and get the game win touchdown. It reminded me of this was the first game that reminded me a lot of last year because it was
Yeah,
kind of that same
and
formula.
and it's kind of unfortunate that we're here, but no, to me it's like, and I've thought about this quite a bit, and I think some of the issue that we're having is that we see the talent, right? You have Colin Lacey from Alabama State, who's a phenomenal wide receiver before he came over. Ja'Cory Brooks is proven to be a phenomenal wide receiver. We have a stable of running backs that everybody will be jealous of, especially all our fresh running backs, whether it's Duke Watson or Isaac Brown or Keywan Brown, guys who are just ballers, right? We have all this talent. We return all this talent on defense. Plus, we thought we had the depth with Thor Griffin and others. But I think some of the problem may be is that we but we got all these guys from the transfer portal,
Hmm.
especially what we thought was going to be great depth and some wide receivers. that we desperately needed to replace our guys lost last year. And I don't think we took into account how hard it may be to fit all those new pieces together and to get all those new pieces playing from the same playbook, being emotionally together and playing well together. And I think that's some of the issues we're seeing now. Like we have all this talent, yes,
Honestly,
but
Haven,
it's
I don't even think that's it. I just think that the coaches staff did not have the proper game plan installed for these guys. I don't think that the plan from the jump. I don't think it was the players. Honestly, I think that it was just a bad game plan, especially defensively. Like offensively, I can't complain too much because Louisville's been a productive offense all year long. My biggest complaint with the offense and where I think Jeff Brom is making a mistake is I think the damn tempo is too slow. Like having this, we're going to huddle every time we snap the ball, we run the play, we huddle until like 10 seconds left, run the clock down to 2 or 3 seconds every time. Like, I think that is a schematic disadvantage for this team. I think that you're still trying to play complementary football, to borrow a phrase from Mike Rutherford, but you can't play complementary football when your defense is playing like crap. So you want to have a higher possession game because you want to get the ball back to your offense as many times as possible so you can score. Like, I think that's still a schematic issue that Louisville's having because even in this game last Saturday, they're still playing at a very slow tempo. But honestly, Haven, I don't think it's on the players. I just honestly think that coaching staff did not put together the right game plan and the right framework and setup for the guys
or
that they had.
or they had the game plan for the guys they thought they had, and the guys they thought they had wasn't what they wanted.
Yeah,
So now they're super slow to readjust. So I mean by this, right?
yeah,
Your defense last year was awesome. Great defense last year, except for the end of the season when guys got tired and banged up. So you go on a transfer portal and you get a whole bunch of complimentary guys that you think would be complimentary.
yes,
And you had a whole bunch of guys that should have added a lot of depth, especially on defensive line. We can rotate guys in and out, in and out. And you're thinking, well, we're still going to get that pressure like we did last year because we return almost everybody. And look all this depth we added. We should be good to go. And then come to find out that for whatever reason, no, you're not. You're no longer getting the pressure with your 4 or 5 man rush that you did last season. And yet you're just slow to make that change. Like, okay, now we got to start blitzing. Now I'm
yes,
gonna have to start bringing more pressure. We still haven't. We've kind of done it, but we still haven't made that adjustment to I think what we thought we was going to get.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
and I think that's that stubbornness that you just said, Haven. I think that's the key word. Like the coaching staff has been way too stubborn to stick to their original plan when it wasn't working, and that's kind of put Louisville in this situation that they're in right now.
and on offense, I think it's the same thing. Like granted, we have we're one of the top scoring offenses in the country. I think we're like top 15 or top 20 for points scored in the country. So top end, we're scoring points, but we're nowhere near as efficient on offense as we should be. Right? With the type of talent we have, we honestly could be scoring a lot more points than what we have been.
Yeah,
But we're just not utilizing the guys correctly we have to really make that happen. We can, like I said, on the last drive, when we started using the tight ends, we hit Redmond on the deep real route. The touchdown, we had Jamari kind of drag across the formation there for the touchdown. But that's all based on because we ran the ball really well. And we ran it because why we ran Isaac Brown really well, like we should have, like most of the season, like everybody's been clamoring for. And it's just this, and we had tempo that last drive because we had to score.
yeah,
And you kind of saw once we start putting everything together how easily, how much more the offense flowed. It's like, why haven't we done this like all season long? When it's been, I mean, this has been obvious. We've talked about this at least 3, 4 weeks in a row.
yeah.
And it's obvious. Everybody can see that's like you have this. I just don't get it. And like I said,
And
the only thing I can think of is either A, you're stubborn, which has never been Jeff's thing, any other place he's coached.
yeah,
Um, And Ron English, even when he was still with Crackthorpe, he brought a lot more pressure than he has now. So the only thing I can say is, like I said, you got all these guys. They weren't what you thought they was going to get. Two, you're probably paying all these guys pretty well, so you feel like you have to pay them, play them to get your money's worth. And I don't think that's a topic that a lot of people approach. That these aren't high school kids just playing for scholarships. Most of these guys are paid,
Yeah.
and you want to get your money back. It's almost like NFL issues, right? I'm paying all this money for Deshaun Watson. Damn it, he's going to start, and I don't care how much he sucks. Deshaun Watson's going to start because we owe him $250 million.
Yeah, Thor Griffith ain't cheap. Hey,
Yeah.
Thor Griffith is right now is like your fourth string defensive tackle.
He had a few
So
good
Yeah.
snaps. He had a couple good snaps this
he
past
did.
Saturday.
No, he did.
Yeah.
I think they all did better. I just think that they just the utilization of it was all. And I do want to point out the fact that I think the tight ends only got 4 targets. They had 3 first downs and a touchdown. Like what are we doing? I
Jam-
don't understand why the tight ends don't get more love,
Jamari
man.
Johnson, I believe, I know on the block for the pitch, but I believe on both of Isaac Brown's touchdowns, Jamari Johnson was the
He
lead
was.
block that
He was
opened
the
it up for
linchpin.
so it's like,
Jamari Johnson is a monster.
why are
He
you
is
not
a
getting them
monster.
involved in the run game too?
I
Like
don't know. I don't get it. Like these are questions that we have, but you know what? That is why the one blessing that Louisville has right now is that a lot of conversation coming into the year was we don't think that an ACC team can make the playoff with 2 losses. And I think that honestly, because the teams that Louisville has left on their schedule have played so well, Louisville has a very interesting opportunity in front of them. That if they could just find a way to get on a run, get hot, they could write a hell of a story to the end of this game. Because if you can find a way to win this game against Miami this Saturday, knock off Clemson in a couple of weeks there in Death Valley, and you finish up and you get to the ACC championship game to face, an SMU or somebody like that in a rematch. I think that Louisville would have the resume because of the teams that they have and how well this schedule has played
Oh man,
out.
most definitely because Pitt
They would
was
have an
like
opportunity.
to
Pitt was
go win or
4-1
lose
until we beat them.
to go
I mean, not
even
Pitt.
with
I
the
mean,
loss. You're saying?
Yes, no, no, I
yeah.
no, I think that Louisville would have to win out to make the playoff, but I think that this schedule affords them that because Pittsburgh has played so well and they're still undefeated, because you have to still go to Death Valley and Clemson has been playing lights out, and because Miami's coming here undefeated, that if Louisville can win out, they can make the playoff. I think they have that opportunity, and I think that coming into the year, people didn't think that a 2-loss ACC team would have the opportunity to make it. But I think because Louisville's schedule is so difficult down the stretch, that if they were able to catch fire and just write a hell of an end to this story, they have that opportunity. But that opportunity starts, fellas, with this coming Saturday noon kickoff. The Hurricanes are in town. This is put up or shut up time. Like, we said it last week that the Cardinals' backs are against the wall. There are no more excuses. Like Rocky Balboa said, there is no tomorrow. That was Apollo. There is no tomorrow. It's about today. Get out of your head. So like
And
there
then he
is no.
dies.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, that was the next movie. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. But there is no tomorrow for these Cardinals, fellas. It starts now. It starts now. I need to know. Roman. I am an avid listener, of course, on our wonderful station 96.1 WXVW Big X Sports Radio. You're on Mike Rutherford show. You were sounding a little iffy. I need to know, how are you feeling about this Miami game? Kind of give me your initial thoughts. We know that Miami's coming off a bye. We know that it seems like they have the ACC officials in their pocket. Every game out, they pack they pack their defense, they pack their special teams, and they pack their own referees. So tell me, how are you feeling 3 or 4 days out?
I'm feeling like semi okay. I'm on the winning. I'm definitely on the winning side.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
feeling a win is coming in our near future for sure.
nice.
The reasons why, of course, at the end of the day, our offense can go toe to toe with Miami's offense every day of the week. From what I've seen out of these two teams so far this season, is we can throw it, we can sling it, and we've got a running back who can do it all, another running back who's really, really hard to bring down, another freshman running back who's fast as can be, and then number 21 we've got as well, who's a good blocker and can do some things for us occasionally. Um, Mr. Cheney, of course. We can do it all on offense. We've got tight ends.
Yeah.
We block well for our run game. We open up the creases for these guys to do things. Ja'Cory Brooks is proving to be
Monster.
the monster that we thought he could be. Colin Lacey this past week showed that he can do some things after the catch if you let him get some space as well. Chris Bell, he needs to figure it out. I don't want he's got to figure it out, guys. I know we
No
didn't really
more
get into
personal
that.
foul penalties. Goodness gracious.
Unless you're going to go out there and beat your man every time down and catch the football,
Right.
drops as well. He had a drop as well. I just, whatever about Chris Bell, but I'm feeling like at the end of the day, our offense can go toe to toe with this team, and we can win a shootout if that's what it has to come to. We have to get a few stops. We have to get stops and get and gain momentum on your home field. We have a sold out crowd going into this game. It was announced today from the Go Cards page, and make use of it. Go out there early, punch them in the face. I want to see if you can go out there and do those things. I think we will see a team that can beat Miami. You've got to go get stops. You have to contain Cam Ward on the passing plays. You can't let him get out of the pocket when he doesn't see something he likes and cut up on us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling confident. I said today I was at a 6.5 on a scale out of 10 confidence level. I'm still there at the moment.
Okay.
Got to look at some more things and look at the last couple games for Miami and really they've had some really iffy, weird comebacks, right? I
Very
think
fortunate.
very, very fortunate against teams that I don't think are really high-powered football teams. So I want to go really break down those games before I let my number increase from where I'm at naturally, just on what I know.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a game that we can win. I think this is a game that you're going to have to score a lot of points for. You're going to have to go out there and score, 28, 30 plus points to get a win here because Miami is not – they will put points on the board. Well, they've proven it in every single game this season. That's why they're the, 8th-ranked team in the country?
Yeah.
But this is an opportunity right here, fellas. This is an opportunity to work on the things you need to work on, lock in on the things you're good at, and tone and fix the things that you've already kind of tried to improve a little bit. So I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling, this is the 8th best team in the country at the moment who hasn't lost a football game yet, but they're coming off of two really iffy, fortunate performances for them. And, we were coming off a performance where we saw a good chunk of improvement on the side of the ball you wanted to see it on. So that's where I'm at with it.
Haven, where are you at the few days out?
Man, if Roman's a 6.5 out of 10, I'm like at a 5. 4.5, 5.
Okay, so you're right on the line.
You think it's
right
a toss-up then, Haven?
Actually, I'm leaning more towards Miami.
Okay, so tell me your biggest concerns. What are your concerns? Like, what do you like going into this game, and then what don't you like heading into this game for Louisville?
Biggest concerns is our sloppiness, right? It's like both teams are really sloppy. Really sloppy. Like if you looked at that Miami 25-point comeback against Cal, it was super sloppy on their comeback. They had personal foul. I think their wide receiver got like 2 or 3, at least one personal foul penalty and a whole bunch of other penalties. He's almost like our bail.
Let him come back.
Yeah, and like they would be like 3rd and 15 and find a way to get the first down. 3rd and 25, find a way to get the first down. And to me, like that's the biggest difference between Miami and Louisville. Miami finds a way, right? They're down by 25. They're playing sloppy. They have all sorts of penalties. Even when they're trying to come back, they have all sorts of penalties. They can't play clean. But they get it done anyway, right? Our sloppiness has cost us 2 games. Point blank. Our sloppiness is, we just can overcome our sloppiness. And against teams, and especially in Notre Dame, which offense is still suspect, and SMU, which is a good team, but once again, the sloppiness kind of cost us, and we just didn't have what it took to come back. Well, Miami has what it takes to come back. And I think with 2 sloppy teams going at it, I think their wide receivers against our secondary is a mismatch. Their ability, they can actually get pressure with their front 4 more so than we can. I think we have a much better running game than they do. Quarterbacks, I would give Miami the nod at quarterback, as well as Shuck is playing.
Slightly. I'd give
Yeah,
it slight.
it's very slight. As well as Shuck is playing, the only reason I think Cam Ward's a bit better because he can actually run.
He does use it. Yeah, he uses his legs because we
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
Tyler has them. He just doesn't use them.
yeah,
Yeah.
he does run and will use as a weapon. And when uses weapons effectively, that's our kryptonite. There's any quarterback that can run. Now you got a guy who could throw it and has some weapons on the outside, and our secondary has kind of struggled a little bit this season. Yeah, it's not the best matchup, but once again, you're playing at home. Everybody's going to be excited. The crowd's going to be into it. At home, Jeff seems to coach a slightly better against big teams than he does on the road so far, as we've seen since he's been here. I think they found some things with the tight end that they can use and definitely exploit Miami. But we're going to have to outscore Miami because I don't think our defense is going to hold them less than 25 points. So we're going to have to outscore them. And to
Yeah.
me, it's going to come down to who can overcome their mistakes the most. And so far this season, Miami has overcome their mistakes more than we've overcome our mistakes.
Also got them. They've gotten some help, but
And we haven't got that help.
but you're
more
right. We've gotten the opposite. We've gotten
Yeah,
screwed
yeah.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done the opposite of help. Miami's gotten the help.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, Miami should have 2 losses in conference. Okay, let's keep it real. Like they should have lost to Virginia Tech. They should have lost to California. But it's kind of like that meme of Shawn Michaels kicking who was that, Kurt Angle, and then just rolling Triple H over on top of him. Like it's been some of that, like with the
Well, you know
ACC
what? You know what?
officiating.
I'm gonna say this. Yeah, there's a one bad penalty in the Cal game, but if we're honest, when Miami try to make their comeback, they had personal foul penalties, holding penalties, false starts. I mean,
Yeah,
they tried to shoot themselves in the foot multiple
Same
times.
way with the last drive or the second to last
yeah,
drive against Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
yeah.
Same exact thing.
I
There were a
mean,
couple
they
penalties,
tried to.
sloppy play calls.
Yeah, they tried to shoot themselves in the foot, but
yeah.
yet they still found a way to
And
keep
the
going
big
to
reason,
score.
and let me tell you something. One of the big reasons why is A, because Miami has a tremendous amount of talent, and B, because these teams did exactly the same thing that Ron English did against Virginia. And let me tell you guys something. If you go back and you watch that Virginia game, Louisville's defense, after giving up the touchdown drive on the first drive of the game, did a much better job of being very aggressive, sending pressure, and not allowing Calandria to be uncomfortable or to get comfortable. There was a moment about midway through the third quarter, even almost the end of the third quarter, about maybe the 6 minute mark, where Louisville's defense is playing well. They had just gotten a sack on Calandria. It was 2nd and 20, I believe, was the down and distance. 2nd and 20, and Louisville's defense, which had been aggressive all afternoon, goes into that prevent shell defense, to where they're only going to rush 4. We're going to drop 7, and we go into that terrible ass zone that we don't play well. And as soon as Louisville made that adjustment, they went to the shell. They give up 18 yards on third down, or on second down. They give up another 7 or 8 yards on third down. So now you go from being able to get off the field, big momentum shift, and it goes from 17-7 to maybe 24-7. And Louisville is having a great old time in Charlottesville. And instead, Louisville backed off the gas, went into that prevent, and now we're turn around and look, and it's 2017, and we're losing to Virginia and needing that game-winning drive to put it together. They cannot take their foot off the gas against Miami. If Louisville's defense comes out and they play well, and how about this, fellas? How about the defense not wait to give up the score before they get aggressive? Can we
Did you hear
come
me?
out with energy?
Did you hear me talk about that earlier yesterday
Yes,
on the show?
Yeah,
yes. Can we get some energy? Like, why do we look like we are tired at the start of every game? Like, why?
it's
Why do
crazy.
we look like we don't know what the other team's going to do until they score a touchdown?
And they do the same. And every team has done exactly the same thing. They go hurry up and they run the
Yes,
quarterback without a quarterback
yes.
draws, and they just march down the field on us.
Immediately. Like, and
Our
we,
first down defense has been terrible.
yes, yes. I mean, I don't know what that was. And Louisville's, like I said, after that first drive, they kicked it in. They started being aggressive, and they were awesome and doing a great job. They were playing lights out until they just stopped being aggressive. They got to that long down and distance. I don't know why in long down and distance, we decide to allow quarterbacks to just stand back there and figure out which wide open wide receiver they want to throw it to. I've never understood the philosophy behind that because they feel like, oh, well, we don't want to push up because then we can get beat over the top. But guess what? If you rush 5 or 6 guys and don't let the quarterback have the time to look down the field, he can't throw it down the field. Like, I don't understand that part of it. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing, fellas, for me coming into the game on this Saturday. And I am excited about the game. If I was to put a number on it, I'd be about where you are, Roman, about 6.5. Because I do believe in big game Jeff. I believe in what this Louisville team can do. I believe in the talent of this team. I think that Louisville has everything that they need to win. And the biggest thing that Cam Ward has shown me in both the Virginia Tech game and the California game is if you get pressure into his face, he will throw interceptions. That's the biggest thing, though. You have got to put pressure into his face. You cannot sit back in the zone against Cam Ward
He's
because
not
if
a
you
very
do,
tall guy. You got to get in front of him.
got to get into his face. You have to rush it. You have to make him uncomfortable, but you have to do it under control because you cannot allow him to get out the backside. Because, like Haven said, he will run that ball and he will make you pay. But if Louisville can go out there, play aggressively, they have the offense to be able to win. I mean, Tyler Barron is a problem. We know it because we had him here before we threw him out. Reuben Bain is a problem. They have, probably the 2 best rush-ins maybe in college football there. So they have talent. We know that the Canes have talent, but they are undisciplined. To me, if Louisville can come out and be the more disciplined team, they can win this game because I don't think that there's a big difference in the talent from what Louisville has and what Miami has. I
You've
think
got to
we
win
have
the
the talent
turnover
to match
battle
up.
as well. You've got to
Yes.
go out there and win the turnover battle for sure.
Clean football, don't turn the ball over, and I think that we'll be in a good spot. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think that there's a lot of interesting matchups there. I think Haven, you mentioned it. The fact that Louisville has the better running game of the two. Normally Miami has just kind of a dominant run game that they can lean on, but it seems like this year they're very much live and die with everything that happens with Cam Ward. They don't
Yeah,
seem to
they're letting
have a
him run
kind
the
of a
show.
counterpunch, you know? I mean that's kind of weird, but I think with that being the case, Louisville has an opportunity if they can get up on Miami. Um, I think they have an opportunity for a big day. But I'm excited for it. I know that we're going to get into a more extended breakdown, on the show on Saturday. So don't want to give away too much. Haven Harrington will not be in the studio, but he will be calling us via satellite, and we will also have some special guests there as well. But so of course, make sure you tune in this Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. 96.1 FM, 1450 AM on Wake Up 502.
Or
But
you can stream it online at wakeup502.com.
there you go, online as well. So, fellas, do you all have any parting words for the team? It doesn't matter whether it's looking back or moving forward. What are the words of the wisdom that you want to give the folks on this Tuesday night as they prepare and get ready for what's going down on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think, this is more so just if I were talking to the coaching staff hypothetically.
Absolutely. They're listening right now.
Emphasize that these guys need to come out here. They have to come out with the high intensity, the high motor. You can't come out flat at all. Keep it simple against a team who likes to go out there and, kind of play kind of unorthodoxly and kind of a little bit wild. They've got a little bit of they let Cam Ward kind of run rampant, and he gets out of the pocket and he makes wild throws, and they go downfield a lot, right? If you can be, cool, calm, collected, and controlled, and you keep your defense organized, you can take the ball from this kid. And I'd like to see that. I would like to, we have a Facebook messenger here chiming in, letting us know they want to see Braum run some trick plays and some razzle dazzle. I'm right there
Absolutely.
with you.
Good call.
This is that
Good
time
call.
of year. I want to see some, fake screens, open up a wide receiver. Let me see a little wheel, get somebody open downfield, wide open. unexpectedly, something you haven't ran all year. Because I know there's plays in that book that we haven't seen. You haven't run anything. So I just like to see that. Be different this week. Go out there and do some things you haven't done offensively. Shake some things up. Don't be predictable offensively. Give Isaac Brown the football. If you're gonna
Please.
play Duke Watson, play him. He's the second. He might be the highest top end speed back in the room. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say he's the quickest because I haven't seen him enough, but full out top end speed, he might be the fastest.
Yeah.
Give him the rock. Let him see it. If you're not gonna play Keywan, Chaney's shown you he can't. There's only a couple types of things he can do out there. You're gonna let Isaac do the rest. If you're gonna play Duke, let's see Duke do some of those things too because he's one of the faster guys on that roster. So shake some things up. Don't be predictable. Defense, come out organized, come out aggressive, come out, Ron English, keep it simple, a little bit more simple like you did for him this time. And rush Cam Moore, get in his face. Rush 5, rush 6. Never rush less than 5, please, actually.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. If you at least if you rush 5, then that means that nobody gets double teamed. So I would like that, and I think that if you do that, then guys like Tramel Logan and Ashton Gelati have an opportunity to make some big plays. And it was wonderful to get Des Tail back for the last game. I think that him being back on the defensive line really helped against UVA, and we need all hands on deck to be able to make that happen. Haven, you got some parting words of wisdom before we get out of here? You put yourself on mute, by the way. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, very simple. Blitz coming out the tunnel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
literally, blitz come out the tunnel. Man, come with some energy. Start to make Miami match your level of energy, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And play the 3Ds of football. You play the 3Ds of football, Louisville wins.
Yep.
And those 3Ds are death, doom, and destruction. Destroy that person in front of you. Leave no doubt. Leave nothing but chaos in your wake. And that's attitude you have to play with. Death, doom, destruction. You're just going to go out there and you're going to mollywop Miami, and they can't stop you. And we need West Kentucky, Jeff.
I like it. I like it. I mean, street fight between the whistles, ain't that's his phrase, right? Street fight between the whistles. So we need that. I mean, Louisville has an opportunity. Like this feels like this can be this year's Notre Dame game from last year. Like this
Yeah.
can be Louisville.
Speaking of,
This is not a team. This Miami team is not going to blow your doors off because their talent is so much better than yours. Like I really and truly believe in the talent that I've seen on there. I just think that things needed to be cleaned up. I think we made great strides in this past game, which is why I'm hopeful for what they can do moving forward. So I think my biggest words of wisdom are: be focused, be confident, and let's just go out there and win the football game. I don't think
let's
Louisville's going to have to trick Miami to win. I don't think they have to do a bunch of things out of character. I think that this Louisville team has lost games this year. Both games they lost because Louisville lost, not because Notre Dame or SMU beat them. So I think you play clean football. You don't give Miami short fields. You don't have stupid special teams errors and gaffes and, hiking the ball over the kicker's head into the end zone, stupid crap like that. As long as you don't do that, I think Louisville can win this game because Miami has not, against the two teams that had similar talent as what they had. Miami did not look like world beaters and honestly should have lost both of those games. So, with that being said, I am confident and I am hopeful. I can't wait to hear Jeff Brom's comments tomorrow on his coach's show. So I'll listen to those and see how he's feeling midweek. And then, fellas, I guess we can look forward to a very spirited Wake Up 502 on Saturday morning. I feel like it's as the week goes along, I feel like everybody's going to start to have a little bit of that swag because, hey, when the U's in town, you got to be swaggy. If you're not swaggy by the time the game comes around, you ain't got a shot because them fans is coming in here. I can just tell you right now that there are Miami fans that are already in town that are looking to collect a head. I'm just telling you. So, we gotta have that. We gotta have that. But fellas, thank you so much for the time. I know we we said we were gonna, try to keep it succinct and go a little bit shorter. We ended up going an hour. So, we had to give the people what they want. We had a lot to talk about. So that's all right. I'm good with that. But Haven Harrington, thank you so much. I know you'll be on the road, so safe travels to you. Cannot wait to hear you via satellite on Saturday. So safe travels to you, my brother. You got
Thank you,
anything to say
Doc.
you want to think about to
No,
people?
I got nothing to say. You know what? Go you, do your thing. Go Cards.
I like it. Hey,
Let's do it.
Like we always say, without struggle,
There is no progress.